Hello, this is Paul Milligan. Welcome to ISE Show TV, ISE 2020. Many thanks for joining us for the latest panel discussion. This one is entitled, Is it okay for manufacturers to sell direct to buyers? So it should be quite an interesting one. Joining me today, to my nearest right is Kevin Murphy from integrators Kraftwerk Living Technologies. In the middle, representing the manufacturer's end of things, is Bob Michaels from Zeevee. And at the end, from consultant Stouenborg, it's Anders Jorgensen. Thank you very much for joining us. So I guess this is something we feel like we're seeing more and more. Are manufacturers trying to sell direct to buyers, or is it just in certain maybe market segments, you know, like LED or control systems or something? Kevin, are you seeing that more and more? You've been
Yeah, I've been around for quite a few years, and what I would first say is it's been around for many, many years.
Yeah.
And as an integrator, I was in another major integrator for 20 years. Then I did other stuff, and I've been with Kraftwerk now for 3 years. And the same is happening in different ways, and for lots of different reasons. But frankly, one of the issues that systems integrators have is that some of our key manufacturing partners do sell to our clients for various reasons, which we're going to go on and discuss. Has it got worse? I would say yes. I think as the market has got bigger and more saturated, there's a lot more struggling for business at the end of the day, and that's one of the primary causes. But fundamentally, yes, I think it's getting, for me it's an issue, so it's getting worse.
Yes.
For some of my colleagues it may not be.
Bob, representing manufacturers, I mean, I guess maybe the nature of what Zeevee does, it's not a giant LED video wall, so maybe you can't sell direct, or can you? Is this something you're seeing more and more of?
Well, we're seeing a request from from end users to engage with them more frequently.
Okay.
As a manufacturer, we've made a commitment to the channel. Okay, so our commitment is that we don't sell to our customers, right? Which I think for us at least is a good thing. Number one, we don't have the wherewithal. Number one, we're not going. Number two, we can't take responsibility for design or for the integration. We don't have the resources to do that. But we see more, as I stated, we see more end users coming to us, and it's more for education. We get into a conversation about, hey, can I buy direct from you? I'd like to buy direct from you. We push everything through the channel. But
do you back them away to the right channels? Or?
We back them away. We try to steer them to a partner.
Yeah.
Okay, someone who understands what we do, knows how we do it, and now we interact as a company.
I mean, is that the core of this whole discussion about respecting the channel, really, for you, Bob? Is that?
I'm not so sure that that's the core. Of the discussion. There are reasons why these integrators, I mean, why the end users are coming to the manufacturers, okay? And it's not on all instances, but, you know, in many cases, I feel many integration companies are really holding the industry back. Okay, this move from AV to IP should have been concluded years ago. Okay, I mean, we're still at what, 10%, 12% adoption rates, which is nothing. Okay, and it's because a lack of education, and for a lot of reasons. Right? Lack of resources, lack of interest, wanting to make money by just simply cutting and pasting, or other selfish interests that might be involved. And end users, IT departments, particularly, who understand IT, want straight answers. They want an educated answer, and they're not getting it from the integrators. And so they're coming to us and asking us to give them the answers and then ultimately to sell to them, which we won't do.
Anders, have you been involved in projects where parts of the AV has been purchased already or direct from a manufacturer?
Yeah, I think it's more or less what you're saying, that is, if you do it in respect to the channels, if you do it in collaboration with an integrator, it can certainly be done, but it needs to be done and you need to buy directly from a manufacturer for the right reasons. So what would be the right reasons? It could be that you're benefiting from education, benefiting from things that not necessarily would be part of things you would get from the integrator. But it's really, really important that it's been done in respect for the integrators going to integrate it. But I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as something that needs to happen in relation with the integrator that's going to do the integration. And I've seen that we've done that, where both the integrator and the end customers agreed on that there was a fixed cut for the integrator. That means that they could purchase directly and get the benefits from that, and get benefits from education, get benefits from updating. That would be much more easier and much more accessible than it would through an integrator. because the integrator, as you said, is holding back a little on things they used to do in the IT world. In the IT world, buying directly doesn't necessarily mean that you're cutting out an integrator. It means that you get direct access to education, which could be better.
Okay, so the only thing I feel is that it really depends on the integrator. I think there are different types of integrators out there, and I suppose I'm being slightly selfish. We're a specialist integrator that operates within the entertainment market. We also operate in automotive. We have relatively narrow areas. We're quite large, and we put a lot into our people. We have a lot of experience and knowledge. So actually, I don't think we're holding anything back. We are actually pushing the limits in many cases. And I can give you many, many examples where we've worked with manufacturers and introduced our clients to the manufacturers. But the first thing is the manufacturer has to have the right product. If the manufacturer has developed and produced the right product, we take our clients to them in many cases to help with the education. So I think the main point I want to make is there's different types of integrators.
But I totally agree with you, Kevin, that, and maybe you're a special case in that sense, in terms of if you look at the integrator market and look at the different kind of sections, you can put them in different categories. And I mean, we have phrases like hang and bang in the industry where people are just going in, put things up quickly and rush out. And when you have that kind of integration companies, I fully understand an end client cannot see the benefits of that kind of integration and rather work directly with the company that produced the stuff than for someone running in and they're more focused on how to get out and how quick they can get out instead of how good they can deliver a product and how good they can deliver a solution. So I think we don't disagree on that one, sure. but there's definitely degrees on where, and of course if you're doing some really, really complex setup where you need to have involvement from the integrator, involvement for consultants, involvement from the manufacturers, and that's where I see you guys more than I see you on those easy, quick solutions that we have tons of.
I mean, to a certain extent, I'm slightly blunt and abrupt where, I might say no, manufacturers shouldn't go and see clients in many, many cases. But that's partly because I've seen a lot of circumstances where a manufacturer will go in and see an end client, partly because the end client's called them, and actually all the end client's looking for is a discount. Oh, yeah. They're looking for their marketing budget. And what you end up with is, particularly in things like projection, potentially in LED, larger commodity items, which are a large chunk of the system and a large value. The client's looking for a discount, and the manufacturer's looking to try and get as much of their product into that project. And the problem that we have is, one manufacturer may have a perfect product for that particular issue or that particular exhibit, or whatever, or attraction, but not for that. And that's where we have some problems.
But that's going in for all the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
On both for the manufacturers and both for the client, the end users. And I would really hope that wouldn't be the case, but I fully respect that is the case from time to time.
Kevin, do you see the fact? Sorry, Bob. Kevin, do you see the fact that this is happening as a genuine danger to integrators? Because we're talking about you being bypassed, aren't we? Essentially,
integrators have been in danger for many years, but we still exist. And again, luckily, I've worked with specialist integrators, and we're still alive and we're still thriving. The problem with integrators is that people don't really understand their role, and that goes for clients, project managers and manufacturers. We have great relationships with certain manufacturers, and it's built up over our experience, the time we put in, plus they've got great products and we put them forward. But a systems integrator we tend to do turnkey. We wouldn't go up against a consultant. So we don't go in there as a totally independent consultant and design a system. We take a system from design through to finish, which is a different role from consultancy. And we look after that product from beginning to end. And I think, the only reason why integrators are in danger is because nobody really understands that role and what it is, and how it can coexist very nicely with consultants and in manufacturers on their own. We need each other.
Exactly, we're depending on each other.
Bob, do you think it's just too tempting for some manufacturers not to sell direct?
Oh, I think it certainly is, because they look at margins. Yeah. And I think back to what you're saying, they don't, on the manufacturing side, they don't understand or choose not to understand the value of the integrator, right? Why am I giving away all of this margin, right? Because I'm doing all the work as it is anyway. I mean, that's a feeling, but I think it goes back to, what is your company charter? What, have you made a commitment to support the channel or have you not? There's some companies out there that, frankly, probably don't need integration companies, right? And if they choose to sell direct, that's what they can do if they can support it. But a company like Zeevee, we have a dependency on the channel to some extent that, again, as I said before, we're not going to perform an installation. We're not going to make a design. We don't know how to do that. And I don't want responsibility to do that. Okay, so we depend upon them, but we also have to make sure that they understand, and back to your point again, is what we do. Right, and that's on us. We need to make sure that they're educated on our products, our capabilities, our engineering resources, and how we can satisfy a particular demand. And again, we can't be everything to everybody. We don't try to be. We're specialists in moving video, right?
I mean, one of the issues that came out, one of the reasons for this topic indeed was actually came out of your guest column that you wrote, fantastic that you wrote for us, and then I subsequently, not your fault, inspiration, and then I subsequently wrote a piece on contracts, and there was a UK integrator called White Light who said that they were seeing a lot of clients who would buy a video wall, and then they would ask them to supply all the bits around it, but they were buying a product. And then the client didn't want to deal with the warranty, because what client wants to deal with warranty? So they were passing the warranty on to the integrator, who didn't spec that or choose it in the first place, which seems like a really unfair onus to put on the integrator. But Anders,
I think that if that's happening, and we as a part of that as a consultant, it's our role and our responsibility to say no to that end client and say, as a consultant, we cannot back that up and put our job online there and says that's not okay, and we need to, because we tend to have a bigger role in the decisions. So I really think that the consultants need to really state clearly that that kind of way of working is not the way the business in our industry should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, and I've been involved in large projects where, to be honest, the volume of product, to make the project happen, there had to be some cost reduction. It couldn't afford all of the margin. So there was a deal done, but the integrator actually bought into that product, signed it off, designed it in, it was appropriate for the job, and charged a corkage. By corkage, what I mean is a percentage was charged to the client, and then the integrator said, fine, I am now responsible. So otherwise, let's say a museum buys, 30 projectors from a manufacturer and a system from somebody else. When that image isn't on the wall, is it the projector? Is it the cable going between the two? Is it the source? Where is it? If you honor and have a proper service contract with corkage in that circumstance, and the integrator takes it on, then that's fine. If the integrator isn't happy with that product, frankly, there's only one answer: don't take the job.
Exactly.
It's simple.
Yeah, and as a consultant, if you see that happening, if you see the integrator being pushed, the role is to say no, saying it needs to stop here. We've seen that in Northern Europe, where I'm coming from, that we says no to end clients, saying that's not fair. If you want a good relationship with your customer, with your integrator, you need to do this right.
Sure. I mean, could some of this be down to maybe geographical differences in the way areas do business? Are there certain areas that are more likely to go direct and other ones aren't? Like you mentioned the channel, Bob. You find you get more contacts to go direct from, Latin America than you do from Northern Europe, or
Yeah, let's say Northern Europe. Most of our wins in Northern Europe are in very close concert with an integrator.
Yeah.
Okay, because they bring us into the job. Okay, whereas if I look, for example, in the Middle East, it's a low bid type reward.
Yep.
Okay, somebody goes out, they know nothing about our product, nothing about our equipment, and we find ourselves in bed with an integration company that has no clue as to what we do, but they won, and it could be extensive, and let's face it, sometimes moving video around is not the easiest thing to do, right? Because you have a network to contend with, and different television manufacturers, they might be the same, might not be the same, maybe we work with them, maybe we haven't, and all of a sudden we get into this quagmire, and this is where a manufacturer feels like, oh my goodness, I am giving this money away, and I could have done it all by myself, which is really not the case either, frankly.
I have every sympathy, and again, I can't name names or projects, but I know one major project I was involved in many years ago. It was a big theme park project, and it was designed by a specialist that was going to carry it right the way through. And at the end of the day, a local integrator won the job because their CEO was friends with the CEO of the client. And it had to be bailed out by the company that did the original design. Those things happen. And then I have every sympathy for the poor manufacturer that gets stuck in the middle. But that's what happens with the integrators that don't invest and just put in low bids. There are companies out there that go for that. And those are the ones which I agree you've got to steer very clear of as a manufacturer. And you have to say no.
We try. Yeah, but it doesn't always work because
It's
the
a
end
difficult
user,
one.
the end client says, no, they won.
Yeah.
You have to work with them. And we say, but they know nothing.
Well, at the end of the day, until you sign the piece of paper, you haven't committed to anything. But I know where you're coming from.
It's also turning down an order, right? I mean, that, for all of us, I think, at times.
But turning down bad business is sometimes the best decision you can ever take.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, and at the time you've gone, hey, I can have that job, and you've looked at it, it doesn't stack. If it feels bad, it smells bad, it probably is bad, walk away.
I think that's a nice message to end on. Anders, Bob, and Kevin, many thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Another great panel discussion from ISE 2020. There's plenty more to watch on our channels, and thanks for joining us. Goodbye.